This is part 2 of the survival of a tyrant's secretary. You can find the first part in the pinned comment and description. Hey everyone! I've created a new channel to explore even more amazing stories, which will also serve as a backup channel. I love to have you all in joining me on this new adventure. Channel link is in the description. Now back to the recap. Ronaldine replied, "I have urgent matters to take care of." Then she yelped. The emperor asked, "Did you just yelp?" Usil thought. "I will leave the two of you alone. Good luck." Ronaldine spoke. "Don't go, Lord. It's not what you think." Usil asked, "What happened?" "His Majesty seems to be in a terrible mood." Ronaldine replied, "I have no idea. Why don't you head on ahead? I have some things to take care of." The emperor asked. She yelped, "Am I that terrifying?" Ronaldine thought, "That was close. He found out that I have been avoiding him, but we can't go back to the way it used to be. Will he fire me for being unprofessional? I have to make more money to achieve my goal, and the palace pays the highest salary. Even still, I have to keep my distance, and it will be easier to hide how I feel about him." That's Celsia, the Ostinen princess. She is scheduled to visit His Majesty today. I should leave them alone. That will make it easier. Suddenly, Ronaldine heard the scream of the princess. Ronaldine said, "I will check on His Majesty. Please, get Lord Vadnet." Then she shouted, "Princess," and pushed him away. Ronaldine asked, "Are you all right, Your Majesty?" The princess was so terrified. Ronaldine said, "It's fine, please wait. Help is on the way. I want you to breathe with me. Slowly, inhale, then exhale." After that, Ronaldine spoke, "It's going to be all right, Your Majesty. There is nothing to fear, don't be frightened." Then she thought, the princess had calmed him. Usil asked, "Your Majesty, is everyone all right?" Ronaldine replied, "His Majesty is fine. Please take care of the princess." Usil asked, "Are you all right, Your Highness?" The princess replied, "Yes, I am." Ronaldine told her, "I will pay you a visit soon, Your Highness." The emperor asked Ronaldine, "Is everything all right?" Ronaldine replied, "No blood was shed, and no lives were lost. There is nothing to worry about." The emperor said, "What are you?" Ronaldine thought, "Where should I begin?" In the next scene, the doctor asked, "Are you here to see Her Highness?" Ronaldine replied, "Yes. How is she doing?" The doctor said, "She was unhurt, thanks to you, but she needs rest, so make it quick." Ronaldine asked, "Where are you going?" The doctor replied, "I am off to meet Vahern." Ronaldine thought, Dr. Riggett called Lord Vahern by his name. They must have gotten close. They must have already met to discuss medical research. I should focus on my work too. After that, the princess said, "Why don't you have a seat?" Ronaldine asked, "How are you feeling?" Then thought, "Why are we holding hands?" The princess replied, "Good. I was a bit surprised, that's all." Ronaldine spoke, "I am sorry, I should have been there." The princess replied, "No, I would have been in deep trouble if it had not been for you. I should have told you this before, but thank you. I am not saying this as the representative of Ostinen, but as a person who wants to thank her rescuer. I was ever so frightened, and I still hear the sound of your voice guiding me out of the darkness. Is there any way I could make it up to you?" Ronaldine thought, "Say what? I hope she did not fall for me." The next day, the princess spoke, "This is so interesting. I think this will look lovely on you. I like the design, though it might be a bit too flashy." Ronaldine thought, how did things come to this? Then remembered the princess asking, "I heard the capital city has a vibrant street market, could you take me there?" Ronaldine thought, she seems to have gotten comfortable with me, but I am struggling to focus. Is it just me, or does something not feel right? The princess asked, "I thought this was your first visit to the capital, don't you like it, or is it because of me?" Ronaldine replied, "No, I was busy looking around. It is enjoyable to be in your presence, Your Highness." The princess spoke, "Why don't we go over there? Wasn't it a great idea to come out?" Ronaldine thought, the streets of the capital city are bustling. Everyone has a smile on their face, and the streets are packed. Maybe I was caught off guard by the energy of the city. Compared to the streets I grew up in, it is very different here. When the princess asked, "Look, isn't it cute?" Ronaldine thought, is that a dog, cat, or bear? Are they actually selling that thing? The knight spoke, "Her Highness loves cute items." Ronaldine asked, "Don't tell me you find that cute too." The knight replied. Her Highness has a penchant for unique and original items. After that, Ronaldine asked, What is the matter, Your Highness? The princess replied, Why do you look so bored when you were with me and so animated when you were talking to my knight? Ronaldine thought, Is that how she feels? But the truth is, she witnessed our secret, and I can't help but wonder if he has any ulterior motives. Ronaldine spoke, I am sorry, Your Highness, I am not used to going shopping like this, my apologies, I will invite you to tea to make up for it, I don't need a gift, I would rather we get to know each other over tea. The princess stated, Let's go have that tea. What type of tea do you prefer? Ronaldine thought, Oh dear, nothing is going my way today. In the next scene, Ronaldine thought, How awkward, the princess seems to be back to her usual calm self, however, it seems as if she has something to say. Then she spoke, You must be tired of all the attention, both here and back home. The princess replied, I am sure it's my rare hair color, the truth is, I think you are beautiful, Ronaldine thought. Time to change the subject. Then she said, I was worried because you seem to be a bit under the weather, ever since we returned to Harem Palace. Ronaldine thought, Is something wrong? Then continued, You don't have to say anything, I know everyone has their own troubles. Then she thought, I also want to see if she has ulterior motives. The princess stated, We are in the middle of negotiations, but the truth is I came here hoping to seduce His Majesty. Ronaldine thought, What? The princess told her, I have been preparing for this moment most of my life, all my life. I was taught to be as elegant and well-mannered as one could ever be. Only Igor, who has been with me through it all, has seen my true self. When I grew older, I realized there was something wrong with my life. Initially, I tried to accept it, but a few months ago, my parents sat me down and told me that it was time for me to avern and seduce the emperor for the sake of Ostanin. Ronaldine thought, That's right, then she didn't come of her own accord. The princess continued, I have never gone against my parents before, but instead of seduction, I have been drawing out the negotiations. Ronaldine asked, Your Highness, it seems you love your country dearly. The princess replied, You are right. My heart lies in Ostanin and its people, so now that you know why I am really here, don't you find it awkward to be in my presence? Ronaldine thought, My goals have always been crystal clear. I want to lead a safe and comfortable life. I want the princess to help His Majesty get over his trauma. She said, It's good that His Majesty has someone as kind as you by his side. You are so understanding about his trauma too. The princess spoke, It's nothing. Jumping to conclusions has never done me any good. After that, Ronaldine thought, The princess is a mystery to me, but after talking with her, I was able to conjure up bits and pieces of the novel. I'm sure I won't be seeing her again, since I took her out for tea. If her goal is to seduce His Majesty, she just needs to carry on as usual. After that, Ronaldine thought, The princess has been following me around for the past several days, but I can't complain, as she doesn't interfere with my work, or maybe she does. The princess asked, You are going to the orphanage soon, right? Take me with you. I promise to be careful. I love children, you see. I would love to join you. Ronaldine thought, Why is she acting this way? From what I have seen and read so far, she is supposed to be more chill and considerate. She would have continued to pester me if I had turned her down. I don't feel comfortable at all. I have to hide my feelings for His Majesty, and there's no way I wish to befriend his future lover, but the real problem is right behind the doors. His Majesty's condition has worsened recently. The potion prevents him from losing consciousness, but the side effects still remain. The Emperor thought, She always catches me at my worst. Ronaldine thought, I need to get out of the way so the princess can emerge as His Majesty's savior. There's no need for me to feel guilty. Then she spoke, I need to go back to the Internal Affairs Department. Then she thought, I should go to the orphanage as soon as possible. I miss the kids so much. The princess asked, What if the children are not happy to see me? Ronaldine replied, It will be fine. I already sent word. Then she thought, How could they be upset with all the gifts the princess has prepared? Modon came and spoke, You're here. Welcome, Ronaldine replied, It's been a while, The children ran for the gifts. After some time, Modon asked, Do you feel better now? I didn't know you missed me so much. What's going on? Ronaldine replied, I fell in love with someone. Modon asked, "You've never dated anyone before. You said you would never date until you made enough money. That's interesting. Wait, were you dumped? Is that why you're crying?" Ronaldine replied, "I haven't even told him yet. He's destined to be with someone else." Modon said, "Well then, continue to help him for your own good. It seems like you're trying to deny your feelings for him. You can help him regardless of how you feel about him. Helping someone doesn't equate to love, you know. Don't fret. The more you think about it, the more complicated it will seem, and you have a tendency to overthink things. Don't stress yourself out." Next scene. Ronaldine thought, "Life throws you for a loop sometimes. I'm only here because the princess insisted that I come." The princess had invited everyone for tea that day. The princess spoke, "There will be a hunting festival soon. It's famous, as it takes place in the mountains surrounding Auvergne." Ronaldine thought, "It is special indeed, and more work for me." A noble lady asked, "Will His Majesty participate again this year?" Ronaldine replied, "I have not received word from him yet, but it seems he will be participating again this year." The princess asked, "Will I be able to participate in the hunt?" Vera replied, "You are the head of a foreign delegation. Why would you participate in our hunt? Enjoy the show, like every other guest. We wouldn't want you to ruin the festival by getting injured." The princess spoke, "I may not be as skilled as a knight, but I am quite a good hunter." Vera replied, "For all I know, you may end up becoming the prey. The biggest issue would be whether His Majesty allows you to participate." The princess said, "I'm sure he will agree to it." Ronaldine thought, "I just hope His Majesty turns the princess down." After that, she asked, "Has His Majesty allowed her to participate?" Usil replied, "Her Highness sent a letter to her parents yesterday, and the king promised not to hold Auvergne accountable. His Majesty had no choice but to relent." Ronaldine thought, "What should I do? Do I need to follow her around? How do I dispatch the knights? How many do we need to protect His Majesty?" The emperor stated, "What are you two doing? Why are you gossiping? Surely you have work to do. Get to work. We have a lot to catch up on." Usil thought, "I think His Majesty had mellowed out, but he seems to have returned to his former self. Is it the side effect of the potion? I hope they find a proper cure, and fast, or is he upset because of something entirely different?" Ronaldine thought, "I have to get the preparations ready for the hunting festival, but my utmost priority is the princess's safety. I have no idea where the assassins will launch an attack." In the novel, Vera went to the Shadow Assassination Guild. She double-checked to ensure they had the people to carry out the assassination. Most people don't know of the guild's presence, but I remember their name and their locations. I should go before His Majesty starts nagging again. After that, Ronaldine thought, "Sometimes I wonder, this is just a novel, so why am I so invested in it? I could always flee to another country if things don't work out. Why am I trying so hard to save these characters? But I have come too far to back out now. There is no turning back." Next scene. Ronaldine thought, "I feel like one of Verica's henchmen. Maybe I shouldn't have come on my own, but I don't have enough money to hire someone to come in my place. I need to pay them enough to cancel Verica's request." The bartender asked, "Welcome, are you ready to order?" Ronaldine replied, "Here, take this money and get me a beer." After that, he said, "Here is your beer, enjoy." Ronaldine thought, "It's as described in the novel. You gain entrance by ordering a drink and paying with 10 pieces of gold, 3 pieces of silver, and 5 copper coins. This is the map to the secret passageway. It's located at the back of the pub. I know secrecy is everything, but I can hardly see a thing, not much different on the inside." The person asked, "If you're done looking around, why don't you tell me the purpose of your visit?" Ronaldine replied, "I want you to retract an assassination assignment you were given," and thought, "This is worth 2 months of my salary." The person asked, "Which order shall we cancel on your behalf?" Ronaldine replied, "Someone came to you with a request to assassinate a blonde-haired lady during the upcoming hunt. Don't accept it. Tell your client that you failed to complete the task." The person asked, "Are you sure this is what you really want?" Ronaldine replied, "What do you mean? Is there a problem?" The person said, "I don't think that will be possible." After that, Ronaldine thought, "He said they never received such a request." Then she thought, "Did I get it wrong? I have no choice but to ask my knights to keep a close eye on the princess. She gave me permission to accompany her during the hunt. Things are not too bad. and the assassins failed to kill the princess. Suddenly, she was shocked, isn't that His Majesty's quarters? After that, Ronaldine thought, there is no time to waste. The knights asked, my lady, you don't have permission to enter. Ronaldine replied, get out of my way. Say that I forced my way inside, I will explain to His Majesty in person. Don't let anyone else inside, or I will make sure to write you down in my report. Next scene. Ronaldine thought, seriously, I can't ever let my guard down in this world. Then she said, Your Majesty, please. She thought, he seems weaker than usual. I wonder what happened. I knew he would suffer like this. I was such a fool. All I had to do was reach out. All I had. He wouldn't be suffering like this. Is there a way to get to the source of this misery? I couldn't find anything in the archives of the Royal Library. However, I was able to piece together the storyline after hearing the princess out. Is there something similar that could be done for His Majesty, if he personally told me his story? Ronaldine asked, Your Majesty, what comes out in your nightmares? Is there a way to forget or get over your trauma? Is there more to your nightmares than what I know about? Then she thought, I didn't expect him to answer me back. Maybe there is someone who stayed in the palace long enough to know the details. I can't provide a temporary cure anymore. There may be someone who could help him, someone that could make a difference. Then she said, Could you send the letter to the Duke as soon as possible? The lady replied, It must be urgent business. You used to work there, didn't you? Ronaldine replied, Yes, good memories. I can get ready on my own today. Then she thought, I wonder how His Majesty is today. I'm sure he heard what happened last night. Is he even alive? Next scene, Ronaldine thought, I could smell the scent of perfume the minute I opened the door, then asked, Why did you come in, Lord? I told you to get some sleep. Usiel replied, That would only be possible if you took care of the royal finances on my behalf. Ronaldine said, It is necessary to reduce sleep when you're as busy as I was. Usiel said, That was cold. Ronaldine thought, Is he in a bad mood again? I will get started on my work. After some time, she thought, I can't do this anymore. I need a break. Lord seems to have passed out too. As for His Majesty, he always taps the desk when he has a headache. Ronaldine said, Your Majesty, we are not in the middle of a banquet today. Allow me to be of service, Your Majesty. He seems fine with my proposal. Please get better soon, Ronaldine thought. I think the color is coming back to his face. The butler came and said, I am here to deliver an urgent message. It's for Secretary Ronaldine, from the Duke of Randis. Ronaldine thought, the letter has arrived. The Duke wrote that he can make time for me today. Let me know when I can come, she thought. His estate is not close by, yet he sent a quick reply. The Emperor stated, if it was really urgent, the Duke would have sent a courier, but if you wished for a reply by mail, you should have waited until our workday was finished. You should know better. The butler replied, My apologies. After that, Ronaldine thought, wow, it's been a while since I enjoyed this scenery. I hope it is not rude to visit on the day I received his letter. Next scene, the Duke said, We have been waiting for you. Geraldo spoke, You must return before nightfall, right? We went ahead and prepared tea in advance. After that, the Duke asked, So, what is going on? Feel free to ask away, Ronaldine replied. I have a question that only you can answer, Your Grace. I'm not sure how to bring it up, but you said you worked in the royal palace when Auvergne was a kingdom. The Duke replied, Yes, I did. I left of my own volition, too. Looking at His Majesty now, I regret my actions. Ronaldine asked, Would you be willing to tell me what happened during your time at the palace, and what His Majesty went through? The Duke stated, It's a complicated story. I have never met anyone who suffered as much as His Majesty. Auvergne became an empire because of him, but 30 years ago, we were just a small kingdom. I didn't know the root of our problems, until I succeeded my father and started working in the royal palace. The Emperor's mother shouted, How could you cheat on me with another woman? Don't you feel sorry for our soon-to-be-born child? Everyone is gossiping about it. They say the king has no concubines, but also lacks respect for his queen. The Duke continued, The former king was only interested in fulfilling his personal interests. The situation became worse after the birth of the crown prince. The king became obsessed with alcohol and women and turned a blind eye to his family. His Majesty only had his mother to rely on. After 30 years of neglect, there was a tragic event that shook Auvergne to the core. Her Majesty jumped to her death. The Crown Prince witnessed the death of his own mother. It was a traumatic experience for such a young boy. After that, the king slowly became mad and blamed his young son for his wife's death. That's when I left the royal palace to start a new life as a businessman. The king continued to verbally abuse his son. I'm sure it was a way to relieve his guilt. His Majesty ascended the throne after his father drank himself to death, and he had to fight tooth and nail to defend the throne. There were powers trying to influence the young Majesty for their personal gain, so he was all alone, fending for himself in the palace. Next scene. Ronaldine thought, I wonder if His Majesty is in his office. I can see why he is suffering from PTSD. To forget his past, he had no choice but to become a workaholic, pushing himself to his limits. It's the only way he can forget about the pain and fear. The light always shines brightly in His Majesty's office. Physical labor is much better than the mental pain, and despite his traumatic past, he does his best to protect Auvergne. The Emperor asked, Are you all right? Ronaldine replied, My apologies, I didn't mean to come. The Emperor asked, What is it? Ronaldine replied, I must have lost my way. Now, if you will excuse me. Then she thought, I know I can't help. The Emperor asked, Are you all right? Ronaldine thought, It may take time, but he will fall in love with someone else. Only the princess can cure His Majesty's illness. Then she replied, Wait, I'm sorry, I need a moment. She thought, Is he consoling me? This is so embarrassing. She said, Your Majesty, I didn't mean to bother you, I will get going now. The Emperor spoke, It seems you are having trouble working. Why don't you have a seat? I don't mind. Ronaldine's heart raced. Is he going back to work again? The Emperor said, Come over. Ronaldine thought, Is he going back to his desk? I thought he was sitting here. The Emperor said to drink some tea. Ronaldine replied, I think I should get going. Then she thought, Does his head hurt again? The Emperor stated, You sometimes seem to forget that I am the Emperor. Ronaldine replied, You gave me permission before. Did you see another hallucination? I know it's temporary, but it helps, so please bear with me. Is it a blood circulation issue? Your hands are always cold. I think you should stop sitting at your desk all day. Go out, do some stretches. You should eat better too. Are you listening to me? The Emperor replied, I am not deaf. Ronaldine continued, You should look at others when you are having a conversation, Your Majesty, regarding Her Highness. I hear she is participating in the hunt. Is it true? The Emperor replied, Yes, on one condition. If she wins, she wants a better deal for her country. That won't be happening anytime soon. Of course not. I am going to win. Ronaldine thought, The princess learned swordsmanship at a young age. However, His Majesty's hunting skills are unparalleled. The Emperor stated, Who cares? I make the rules. I started the hunting festival so I would have an excuse to go out. Ronaldine thought, That's right. It must have been difficult to go outside because of his PTSD. Not only does it show the world how he is doing, but the hunt provides food for the people of the empire. It also gives him a bit of breathing room. It's a shame he can't take a walk in peace. Then she asked, Would you like to get some fresh air? Your Majesty, the Emperor asked, What do you mean? Ronaldine replied, It's late, but we have enough moonlight. The Emperor said, I don't want to go out. No, I can't, you know why. Ronaldine spoke, Your Majesty, do you still hear voices in your head? Do you still see the dark shadows lurking before your eyes? You said they disappeared when you held my hand, so just follow me. After that, the Emperor thought, I haven't seen her up close in a while. I'm glad I came out. Ronaldine thought, He doesn't talk much but seems to be enjoying the silence right now. I'm glad he is feeling comfortable. The Emperor thought, I think I had a terrible nightmare. Then I remember. Why is she apologizing? But her voice made the shadows disappear. I tried to remember their faces through my blurred vision, but I could only conjure up your face. You seemed scared of me, so I focused only on my work, but suddenly, you started acting strangely, and I couldn't help but focus on you. I'm at a loss when you cry. You seem sad one moment, then you're smiling the next, and I have no idea what is going through your mind. Emperor asked, You look cold. Ronaldine replied, No, I'm fine. The breeze is actually cool and refreshing. The gardens are nicer at night. The emperor asked, "Why is that?" Ronaldine replied, "It's beautiful when it's bright and sunny, but it's also very pretty when it's lit up by the stars, wouldn't you agree? Take a closer look." The emperor replied, "You're right. My mother also loved flowers. She preferred the flowers in the garden over the ones I picked for her. We would sometimes walk through the garden together. It's been a while since I enjoyed the scent of flowers, and it's rather nice. I like it." He then thought, "Did I talk too much?" Ronaldine said, "I'm so glad to hear that. I'm happy to be of help, Your Majesty, so please let me know whenever you need me." On the other hand, Vera asked, "She asked you to cancel my request. How did she find out?" The person replied, "That's the thing. I don't know how she got the details, so I told her that I had never received such a request." Vera stated, "This is the information I wanted, as well as my previous request. Do you have it?" The person replied, "The thing is, we feel that this may be going overboard, even for us." Vera stated, "These gems are 3 times the value of our contract. Well then, the deal is off. I want a refund." The person replied, "I never said we wouldn't do it, did I? Here is the information you requested." Vera said, "Don't forget the details of the current contract. Our target is not the blonde, but the one with oat-colored hair." The next morning, Ronaldine said, "The sun just came up, but things are pretty hectic. The hunting festival is right around the corner." Then she thought, "He is decked out from head to toe." She said, "I washed my hands." The emperor replied, "Okay, well." Ronaldine thought, "I have been offering my services since that night in the royal garden, and sometimes I catch Usil staring at us. It seems he's itching to tease us, but His Majesty ignores him, and I merely follow suit." The emperor said, "It's time to go." After that, Ronaldine thought, with those peaceful moments behind us, the hunting festival started. The princess came and said, "I am so happy that you are joining us for the hunt. The inauguration ceremony will start soon. Shouldn't you be by His Majesty's side?" Ronaldine replied, "He gave me permission to assist you." Then she thought, he was initially against it, with His Majesty participating in the hunt. The inaugural ceremony is rather quaint, and Vera is sitting nearby as always. The princess said, "The hunt is about to begin. Let's go." Ronaldine thought, "I wish we could sit and enjoy the refreshments." After that, she thought, "Oh no, we are about to be thrown off the horse. I wonder who thought it was a good idea to ride a horse and go on a hunt. Will I die if I get thrown off this horse? I should have begged on my knees to watch the hunt from afar. I'm not sure about this." The princess spoke, "It seems they cleaned the roads in preparation for the hunt. It was an easy ride." Ronaldine replied, "You are a skilled horsewoman." The princess said, "That's because I've been riding since I was a child. I would have paired you with a knight had I known. It was your first time on a horse. Would you like to ride with Igor instead?" Ronaldine replied, "I get it, but please, I don't want to get thrown off the horse." She then thought, "This won't do. Why must I suffer because of the princess?" In the next scene, the princess shot the arrow. The knight asked, "You got the animal in one try, Your Highness. Your hunting skills are still intact. At this rate, we will win the hunt." Ronaldine thought, "I don't see anyone suspicious. Please don't let anything happen today." The princess said, "That arrow is not mine. I knew I missed my mark, so I found it strange when the deer fell to the ground." The knight asked, "Wait a minute, I'm sure this is your arrow. I don't see anyone else around. Who else could have shot the deer from so far?" The emperor arrived and said, "Tell the judge to mark it down. I saw boar footprints going that way." Then he asked Ronaldine, "What are you doing here?" Ronaldine thought, "I am so happy to see him out and about." She replied, "Didn't you give me permission to follow Her Highness?" The emperor said, "That I did, but I had no idea you don't ride. I will teach you once the hunt is over." The judge said, "I just need to check the tip of the arrow." Ronaldine thought, "He wishes to teach me himself. What has gotten into him?" The judge said, "There is a panther engraved on the tip. This belongs to His Majesty." The princess asked, "Your Majesty, you haven't forgotten our bet, have you?" The emperor replied, "That's enough. We don't want tongues wagging." The princess said, "I didn't say anything wrong. I want to win the hunt and our bet." The emperor replied, "Try all you want. I am sure I will emerge as the winner. The princess said, but even if I don't, there is always plan B. After that, the princess asked, shall we go? Will you help Ronaldine back onto the horse? Ronaldine thought, that didn't look right. I wonder what's going on. Did something happen between the two? After some time, Ronaldine thought, I was scared that something would happen, but now that it's over, I feel relieved, refreshed, even. The breeze is nice, and it was fun watching the princess and the knights hunt. I guess this is why His Majesty holds the hunting tournament every year. It looked dangerous at first, but we made it back safely. In the next scene, Ronaldine thought, why am I so sleepy? I smell medicine. Is this the medical wing? I remember finishing the hunt. The princess spoke, the physician gave you a sedative and medicine for the pain. Try to get some sleep. Ronaldine thought, is that why I feel so drowsy? If only I could remember. Why does she look so shocked? I'm the one that got injured, so why does he look so hurt? Ronaldine said, I'm fine, Your Majesty. I fell off the horse, it's nothing serious. Then she thought, I want to reassure him, but I feel so sleepy, the look on his face. She said, I'm sorry I ruined the hunt. The emperor spoke, you did not, Ronaldine thought. I shouldn't have cut him off mid-sentence. Then she said, it's the only day when you can move freely outside the palace. The emperor was shocked. The princess spoke, she's probably drowsy from the sedatives and painkillers, let her get some rest. The emperor thought, for me, initially, I found it interesting how she put me at ease, but the more she looked out for me, the closer I felt to her. She made my stress disappear at times, and I should have been upset. However, right now, she should take better care of herself. What can I do for her? Should I acknowledge my feelings for her? But I can't stay by her side like this. How could I after some time? The doctor thought, His Majesty doesn't take well to his people getting injured. I wonder how he'll react. The princess asked, so, was it a planned attack? The doctor replied, it seems so. The explosives were set up on the route going downhill. The bomb was placed there to harm its target. It would have been more difficult in the mountains. The emperor came in and asked, how is Ronaldine? The doctor replied, she was thrown off the horse and trampled upon, but no bones were broken. Her injury isn't serious. The emperor asked, what happened? Explain yourself. The princess replied, we're not sure, but there seems to have been an explosion on the way back. It wasn't a large explosion, but big enough to frighten the horses. Miss Ronaldine lost her grip on the reins and was thrown off the horse. The emperor asked, you knew she had never been on a horse before. You should have kept a better eye on her. The knight replied, my apologies. This is my fault. Suddenly, the princess said, you're choking him. The emperor thought of Ronaldine's voice, which said, wake up, Your Majesty. The emperor thought, this has nothing to do with how I feel. The princess said, yes, Igor was responsible, but the fault also lies with the royal palace for choosing the mountains to hold the hunt. The emperor replied, true, the palace is at fault. Apologies to your knight, I lost myself for a minute. After some time, the knight said, it seems to be gunpowder. The sand around the explosion was burnt, and we found remnants of the bomb at the scene. The emperor asked, were they aiming for someone in particular? The knight replied, we believe they were targeting the princess. The emperor said, but everyone knows she's a skilled rider and the culprit. The knight replied, well, the Austinians were unable to find them either. The emperor stated, how dare they try something like this during the royal hunt? Find them. Gather the knights in the training room. On the other hand, Vera shouted, go away. The maid spoke, my lady, you may get hurt. The princess came and said, leave it to me, come back when I call for cleanup. Then she said, I can hardly walk in here, stop being annoyed and have a seat. We need to talk, Vera asked, you didn't say this would happen. The princess replied, did I say that? Vera said, you'd be sad if that twat were gravely injured, she would have no choice but to quit, but her injuries turned out to be minor. The princess replied, I know. Vera said, do you know how much I spent on that silly guild? They told me not to worry, yet they did a crap job. You said you would help. Why didn't you do anything? You're the one who came to me first. I can always tell everyone that you're behind this, so you'd better make sure you hold up your end of the bargain. The princess replied, I guess we need to take it one step further. Roni goes back to the orphanage, where she came from to look after the children. Vera told her, stop calling her by her nickname, it's annoying. The princess replied, I can say whatever I want. Look, I'm sure they're searching high and low for the culprit behind this. We're going to take things slow, so I want you to wait for my signal. Vera said, children from the orphanage. The princess said, I'm doing my part of our deal, so stop worrying about me. Next scene, Ronaldine thought, for the last few weeks, I've been off work, lying in bed, admiring the scenery. I'm so bored, every single day. I'm doing the same thing, looking at the same scenery outside the same window. I'm itching to get out of here. According to Usil, it's peaceful here but chaotic outside. Usil comes to see me every once in a while, and he tells me what's been happening while I've been on bed rest. They have yet to find the person who set off the bomb during the hunt, and the royal knights are being reprimanded for their incompetence. Not only that, His Majesty is not doing very well. Usil complained that His Majesty's condition had hit rock bottom. He probably feels terrible because of this incident. With me gone, I'm sure he's up to his neck in work. He only came to see me once when I was first sent to the medical wing. I miss him. What was I thinking? I should focus on something else. Suddenly, she felt the pain. The doctor told me it would continue to hurt. Having said that, why did they use a bomb? In the original story, the assassin tried to push the princess off the cliff. The guild likely knew who I was referring to when I mentioned a blonde. Is there another guild that I don't know about? The princess came in, and Ronaldine said, thank you for stopping by. The princess said, I feel bad every time I come here. I should have been more careful. Ronaldine replied, it's not your fault. I'm much better now. The doctor said I could go back to work, as long as I don't overwork myself. The princess asked, but it will take a while to make a full recovery, won't it? Ronaldine replied, yes, it will take another 3 weeks. The princess thought, 3 weeks? Ronaldine asked, what's wrong? The princess replied, no, I was calculating something. I hope you make a full recovery soon. A month later, Ronaldine said, good morning, Your Majesty. He didn't even look up. We haven't seen each other in a while. I know it's a one-sided crush, but I can't help but feel disappointed, Usil said. I'm glad to see you. How are you feeling? Ronaldine asked. You want me to do all that? Usil replied, it's one of the busiest times of the year. Today is the administrative meeting. Ronaldine thought, for voting on the growth of the empire, that's such a vast topic. My job is to record the agenda discussed at the meeting. I should start with the legal documents. The emperor said, more tea, Yuki. Ronaldine thought, is he suffering from a severe headache? Then she said, Your Majesty. The emperor replied, don't worry about me and focus on your work. Ronaldine thought, the tone of his voice is so chilly. How strange. He was usually indifferent, but never this cold. Why is he suddenly reacting like this? Is it because I was away for a month? Or was it something I said at the hospital? I was so excited when I came to work, but it feels as if someone sliced my heart in two. At the administrative meeting, Ronaldine thought, contrary to my hopes that the meeting would end quickly, the officials have been arguing over the same topic for the past several hours. The emperor asked, does it have to be legislative will? Ronaldine thought, I guess everyone came to the same conclusion, that passing a new bill would be the most effective way to promote growth in the empire. The emperor asked, what about you? Usil replied, I don't have anything in mind. Then he asked, and you? Ronaldine thought, maybe I should give it a go. It's not something I can manage on my own, but I must take advantage of this opportunity. Ronaldine said, I do have a proposal. I'm sure you all know that I come from the slums. The slums are full of people, and children abandoned by their parents. People think that kids on the street lack brains, but from what I've seen, it's actually the opposite. There were kids who were starving, yet had the desire to learn, and their vision was quite clever. So I think it would be great to set up an academy, where these kids could get an education. A noble shouted, are you asking us to do it pro bono? Do you know how much it costs to set up an academy from scratch? Ronaldine thought, actually, I know it will be very expensive. I could set up an orphanage with my money, but never an academy. One of the nobles said, why should we educate them to begin with? They'd be wasting precious taxpayer money. Ronaldine replied, "That's only if they eat, sleep, and learn. We're investing in the future of the empire. We should place a condition on all students entering the academy. In exchange for providing room and board, they must work for the empire when they graduate." One of the nobles asked, "Let's say we do establish an academy. Even with that condition, some kids may not work very hard once they have room and board." Ronaldine replied, "We would need to set up a few rules. There should be quizzes and exams. Those who score below average would be given a warning, and then eventually expelled. They would have no choice but to focus on their studies. Thank you for listening." The emperor asked, "Those who agree with Ronaldine's proposal, please raise your hand." Ronaldine thought, "Please give them the education they need. Let them be able to think of the future instead of living day to day." The emperor said, "You have 3 votes." Ronaldine thought, "At least 3 people agree with my proposal. I should be more prepared next time." The emperor said, "I don't think it's a bad idea. I'm sure there are those who disagree. There's never been a free academy for the poor." One of the noblemen said, "It's a great idea, but I couldn't cast my vote because I wasn't sure if it would work." The emperor stated, "Your words mean nothing if you don't have the evidence to back up your claims. If you really want the academy up and running, come up with a foolproof proposal that will convince those who oppose your plan." Ronaldine thought, "So I still have a chance. I know it won't be easy putting together a concrete plan, but even still, I may be able to establish the academy of my dreams." In the next scene, Ronaldine thought, "I have been up to my neck in work and putting together the proposal for the academy. I will take care of these tonight and add more information after my visit to the slums tomorrow. I'm missing a book. I know I brought it with me. I must have left it in His Majesty's office. It's late, but I'm sure His Majesty is still working, and I don't want to run into him." I could not muster the courage to talk to him after he pulled his hand away. I have no idea why he is acting this way, and when he puts up a wall like that, it's hard for me to approach him. After that, Ronaldine thought, our eyes met. This is why I didn't want to come. My heart aches whenever he avoids eye contact. He must be suffering from headaches because of his meds. But I haven't seen him frown these days. Is he holding back the pain, or has he really gotten better? Whatever, he didn't want it. I don't have to help him. I will pretend it doesn't exist. The next day, Ronaldine thought, there's no way to prove to the officials that the children are worthy, as they've never received proper education. I need to show that they have the potential to do better with their lives. I need to convince the officials that investing in these kids will be beneficial to the empire. After that, she thought, nothing has changed. I know that alley. I used to live at the orphanage there. I brought the orphanage here to the house I built. I guess it's a home for these children now. Ronaldine asked, are you building a house? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to frighten you. I have some chocolate and candy. Would you like some? The boy asked, why are you giving this to me? Ronaldine replied, I wanted to ask you and your friends a few questions. Don't worry, I'm not a bad person, and it won't take long. After that, she said, I'll give you some snacks if you answer my questions. If you didn't have to worry about living on the streets, what kind of person would you like to be when you grow up? One of them replied, I want to be a chef, and another one replied, I want to be a seamstress. The boy from before said weakly, I would like to become an architect. A few days later, during the administrative meeting, Ronaldine said, I have prepared the report regarding what we mentioned in the previous meeting. Would you take a look at the document placed in front of you? Here are the statistics, which prove that the academy will be beneficial to the growth of the empire. It was all over the papers. The child was creative but had received no education. There was another child who used a single piece of rope to rescue a person in need. If they had the chance, they could have become some of the greatest inventors in the empire. I have attached articles with similar stories from the papers. The questionnaires you see are interviews I conducted with the children in the back streets. They have the ambition and are more than willing to learn, and their educational growth will, in turn, benefit the empire. The last page is the budget for the establishment of the academy, including tuition fees and the profit the empire would reap once they start working in the public sector. After some time, Ronaldine thought, I did it. There were 2 opposing votes, but the rest of the officials voted in favor of my proposal, and here I am, making my way over to consult with the royal architect. After that, Ronaldine said, I have blueprints for a building I plan to construct and a letter of approval from His Majesty. After some discussion, Ronaldine asked, "Do you only take orders from the royal palace?" The architect replied, "No, I take outside orders when I am free." Ronaldine said, "Great. I wanted to see if you would design a building on my behalf. This is the kind of building I had in mind. I have already purchased a plot of land." The architect replied, "That's a huge estate. The cost for an estate of this size would amount to," Ronaldine thought. "I spent too much on the assassin guild. I don't have enough." Then she said, "Could I pay you half up front and the rest when the project begins?" The architect replied, "Of course. I think I could finish the building around the same time as the public academy, or even earlier." Ronaldine thought, "That would give me ample time to come up with the money I lack. His Majesty will recover from his trauma in a few months. I will submit my resignation then. My heart aches just thinking about it." A few days later, the princess asked, "Did you manage to find the culprit behind the bombing, Your Majesty? It's been a while, but I have received no update. I hear the royal knights are feeling the heat." Ronaldine thought, her question has nothing to do with the negotiation. She must know that this is a touchy topic for His Majesty. The emperor replied, "Stop changing the topic and get back to the negotiation." The princess said, "I guess you're still searching for them. I was shocked to see the bruises on Ronaldine. I hope you find who did it soon. Don't tell me you didn't know, Your Majesty. Come to think of it, I haven't seen the two of you together in quite some time." The emperor replied, "Enough with the small talk. Why don't you focus on the negotiation at hand?" Ronaldine thought, "So he's not interested in my well-being. What was I thinking? We are not in a relationship or anything of the sort. There's no reason for me to get upset. What is this? She doesn't seem worried about me." In the next scene, Ronaldine thought, "I am so tired, maybe I'll lie down for a bit. I thought I heard someone at the door." Then she asked, "Who is there? Is that a note? The scent feels familiar. Is someone I know trying to play a trick on me?" The next moment, she was shocked. There was a message written on the paper, "I have kidnapped the children." Ronaldine thought, "What is the meaning of this? The only children I know. Could it be? I need to calm down. I have to figure out what is going on. But what if something happens while I put together a plan, if the children were to die? No, I can't let that happen." The maid asked, "Are you all right, my lady?" Ronaldine replied, "I am fine." Then she thought, "A carriage. I need to find a carriage. It seems someone just got off that carriage. There's no need to go to the stable then," she said. "Take me home, right this instant." After some time, Ronaldine thought, "Once we turn right, I can't see their faces, but they must be the children from my home. No other children would be out and about at this hour. I should go see for myself." Then she said, "I would like to get off here." "Excuse me, I said I wanted to get off." Ronaldine thought, "He just passed my house. Where is he taking me? Something is off, the door is closed. So that means the children seem to be safe, but the carriage is taking me to an unknown location. I see, it's me they're after. I need to get out of this carriage." On the other hand, Usiel asked, "It's been an hour already. Shall I reach out to Ronaldine?" The emperor replied, "That won't do." Then he thought, "She will be in danger if I keep her by my side. She will come near me if she sees me in this state. I can't let that happen. Keeping my distance is the only way I can ensure her safety. I don't care how painful it is or whether her feelings get hurt during the process." Then he asked, "Have you been searching for a new secretary?" Usiel replied, "It's easier said than done. We have many applicants, but none are qualified to become your secretary." Usiel thought, "I know they both care for each other, so why is he trying to keep his distance?" Suddenly, a lady came and said, "Your Majesty, I want you to take a look at this. I found it in my lady's room. I have been waiting and waiting, but she has not come back." The emperor thought, there is no address on the note, which means the culprit knew where Ronaldine would go when she read this. She may fall into danger when she gets there. The emperor said, "Ronaldine cannot ride, so she likely called for a carriage. There may be a spy among us. We need more knights to guard the palace. Go fetch the royal chamberlain and gather the staff to see if anyone remembers the carriage." Usiel said, "You can't go, Your Majesty." The emperor stated, "Let go of me." Usiel replied, "I can't do that. We need to dispatch the knights first." The emperor replied, "Fine, you can let go of me now." After some time, the head chamberlain came. The emperor stated, "Gather everyone in the palace and interrogate them. check to see which carriage left the palace tonight. Then he thought, she just recovered from the hunting incident, and now this. 2 incidents took place one after another, both targeting Ronaldine. If I had caught them in time, she is going to die because of you. It's all your fault, it's because of you. After some time, he received all the reports. The emperor thought, we lost too much time, it's dawn already. In the next moment, he was gone. The emperor thought, we searched all the roads near the village but found nothing. Are those wheel marks? The grass is lying flat. Did they go deep into the woods? After that, the emperor thought, why would there be a house in the middle of nowhere? It looks clean enough but was shabbily constructed. There is a lock from the outside. This is not an ordinary home, but it's too far from the village to be used as storage space. I thought I heard a sound coming from inside. Next scene, Ronaldine thought, where am I? I was trying to escape from the carriage. I wonder what happened. Did I lose consciousness? It's locked, as expected. I wonder if there is another way out. Having said that, this place is neat, a bit too neat. The bed is soft, and the sheets look new. They even prepared food for me. Of course, I am not going to touch anything. Why in the world did they kidnap me? How did they find out about the children? Did someone do a background check on me? But why me? I am just the emperor's personal secretary. Why did they bring me here? In the original novel, Vera kidnapped the princess, but Vera would never treat me this nicely. A clean room, good quality furniture, flowers, and delicious food. It seems they went out of their way to make me comfortable. Vera would have chosen an abandoned house. Being kind is not in her nature. I have to get out of here. Is that a window? It looks a bit too small for me, but it's better than nothing. What was that noise? Are the kidnappers back? Please break, you damned window. Yes, I did it. Next moment, she thought, Your Majesty. Suddenly, the emperor hugged her. Ronaldine asked, how did you find me? The emperor asked, are you all right? Were you hurt? You're injured. Did the kidnappers do this to you? Ronaldine replied, no, that's from tumbling down the stairs earlier. Why am I crying? I'm really fine. I was just a bit shocked, that's all. The emperor kissed her on the forehead. Ronaldine thought, oh my God. Then she asked, are you all right? Your Majesty, did you run into any of my kidnappers? The emperor replied, there was no one around. Ronaldine thought, to figure out where they took me, he would have needed my home address. I guess Lord Vadet told him. The emperor asked, do you have any idea who could have done this? Ronaldine replied, I thought hard, but I couldn't come up with anybody. We should head back. Everyone must be worried. After that, she thought, it's morning already. The emperor said, you don't know how to ride. Let's take you to the medical ward. You can lean on me like you did before. Then the emperor thought, perhaps it may be better not to teach her how to ride. Next scene at the royal medical wing. The emperor said, things will be a bit chaotic in the palace. I will move you to a different room. In the meantime, why don't you stay here and get some rest? Ronaldine asked, are you searching for the culprit? The emperor replied, yes, we will search high and low and leave no stone unturned. Ronaldine said, I can't disclose the details right now, but there's something I want to check out. Could you stop the investigation for a while? The emperor responded, there have been 2 major incidents related to the royal palace. You know we can't continue to let this happen. Ronaldine said, of course, I'm just asking for a bit of time. Then she thought, I have a hunch as to who it is. I just need confirmation. There was no request in the note, and I was kidnapped yet unharmed. The cabin was neat and clean, and the kidnappers were not nearby. This makes no sense whatsoever. It was as if they wanted to lure me out. Were they trying to make His Majesty leave the palace? No, if that were the case, they would have made their move already. I am definitely the target of the crimes, so it was me they were after during the hunt, not the princess. If that's the case, next scene. The palace returned to normal upon my safe arrival. I forgot to thank him for coming to my rescue. Ronaldine said, would you go ahead? There's something I need to take care of. A lady asked, are you sure you wish to go alone? After what happened last night, Ronaldine replied, they've increased the number of guards. Don't worry, I'll be back in no time. After that, Ronaldine thought, I hope he's still in his office. Then she thought, there's no one here. Emperor asked, is the new room to your liking? Ronaldine, shocked, and replied, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure I'm going to love it. The emperor said, it should be just fine. What brings you here anyway? I thought you would be in your room resting, Ronaldine answered. I came to thank you for saving me tonight. Are you all right, Your Majesty? The emperor replied, not really, Ronaldine asked, are you sure? Look at the cold sweat on your face, Ronaldine thought. Should I have kept my hands off him? What if he breaks off contact like before? The emperor responded, I'm not in any sort of pain. I just did some exercise, that's all. Suddenly, they were very close, Ronaldine thought. When our eyes meet, I feel as if I'm under some sort of spell. Ronaldine asked, is it all right for me to touch you again? The emperor replied, yes. Ronaldine asked, do I still make you feel better? The emperor answered, you do. No noises, no hallucinations. Ronaldine said, I'm glad to hear that. Then she thought, he looks really tired up close. He's been pulling all-nighters. If I were to tell him I could help him fall asleep. The next moment, Ronaldine said, Your Majesty, I will be going now. Then thought, what was I even thinking? Ronaldine thought, it's been 3 weeks since the kidnapping attempt. His Majesty made sure the staff stayed quiet, and the kidnappers never reached out again. The princess came and said, greetings to the venerable panther and son of Avern. Then the princess asked, are you feeling better? You were extremely busy before. Ronaldine thought, it's that face again. She's been acting differently from before. She started asking me strange questions, like how is the atmosphere in the office? Do you talk often with His Majesty? Has he ever mentioned when he plans to get married? The princess said, why don't you hear me out? Who knows? I may be able to change your mind. Ronaldine thought, she started to flirt with His Majesty. In the novel, she flirts her way into his heart, but she isn't flirting with him this time around. How very strange. Her attitude changed after the kidnapping attempt, and it's making me suspicious. After some time, the princess asked, so what is it you wish to discuss with me? Ronaldine asked, you're doing it on purpose, aren't you? The princess replied, what do you mean? Ronaldine said, I'm talking about your behavior over the past few weeks. You wear revealing frocks to your meetings with His Majesty, and purposely try to get closer to him. You're not being yourself. Is this part of your ploy to gain the upper hand during the negotiations? The princess asked, are you jealous? Why haven't you professed your love for him? I know you have feelings for him. I've been doing my best to provoke you. You should tell him how you feel before I steal him away. Why are you just sitting there watching us? Ronaldine asked, are you saying you were purposely trying to make me jealous? The princess replied, that's right. I want you to marry His Majesty. Ronaldine thought, my mind went blank at her answer. What is going on? Ronaldine asked, so the bombing at the hunt and the kidnapping attempt were all you're doing? The princess replied, that's right. How did you figure out I was behind it all? I didn't think you'd know until I told you. Ronaldine told her the details of how she felt about the princess's sudden behavior change and other evidence. The princess said, you shared your secret with me, and me only. I'm so happy to hear that. Ronaldine thought, how could she look so joyful? Then she asked, why would you do this to me? Did you have an ulterior motive when you approached me and told me about your past? The princess stated, you asked the guild to cancel the assassination attempt. The truth is, Vera asked them to target me. I just happened to change the order beforehand. I joined forces with Vera. I meant it when I asked to be your friend. I noticed that there was something between you and His Majesty. It made me wonder, if we became friends and you married the emperor. I wouldn't become the empress, but I want Ostanian to become powerful, and I will do anything to make that happen. I didn't touch the children, nothing happened. To reassure Vera, I sent someone else in your place. The coachman is one of the knights, and we built a cabin just for you. Ronaldine shouted, you say this because you knew what was going to happen. I wasn't injured, but I was scared out of my wits for the children. Wait, did you say someone took my place? The princess replied, well, it was Vera who came up with the kidnapping plan, but I couldn't let the guild kidnap you, so I found someone with oat-colored hair like yours. Ronaldine asked, what happened to her? The princess replied, I had no idea. Like I said, this was Vera's idea. Ronaldine thought, this can't be the princess I know. How can she tell me these things without batting an eye? Your Highness, don't you know what you did wrong? Don't you feel bad for the innocent person who was sacrificed on my behalf? Ronaldine asked. The princess replied, but I did nothing wrong. Ronaldine thought, she means every word. She really believes she is innocent. The princess I read about was not like this at all. The princess asked, why do you look so shocked? Do you feel as if you don't know me anymore? To reach one's goal, one must not let personal emotions get in the way. That's what I was taught growing up. Ronaldine thought, I was treating her as the character I had read about, but the fact is, she is alive and breathing, right in front of my very eyes. I forgot that people change, and expected the people of this world to be exactly like the characters from the novel. Does she lack empathy? No, she said she liked me, so perhaps she had issues growing up. This quiets my initial shock. I really don't want anything bad happening to the princess. Then Ronaldine asked, do you hate me? The princess replied, no, I like you, Ronaldine said. Then will you meet me every once in a while? The princess replied, sure. After some time, Ronaldine thought, I have searched many books on psychology, and I came to the conclusion that the princess's personality resembled that of a sociopath. After talking to the princess, Ronaldine thought, thank goodness the princess sees me in a positive light. Because of her, I realize there is more than meets the eye to the characters I had read about. That also means I won't be able to figure out Verica's next course of action. After that, Ronaldine said, please give me your hand, I want to help you. I thought I knew how the story would play out, but I was wrong. That means I have no idea how His Majesty will get over the trauma. I have to do whatever I can to help. On the other hand, at the Marquis estate, Verica shouted, I did exactly as I was told, so why haven't I heard back from you for over a month? The princess replied, you should lower your voice in case someone hears you. Are you sure you did as you were told? Verica replied, I am sure. My man did a great job. They brought a clump of hair for me to look at, and it was so disgusting. Then Princess thought, so she has no idea the dead woman was not Ronaldine. That means I can pretend that we are allies for a bit longer. Princess thought, Ronaldine promised to help me with the negotiation if things went well. Then she said, I think I may be able to help out. My lady, you just need to give this introduction to your father, and I am sure you will be of help. Verica said, and please let me know if a secretary position opens up. The princess replied, I'm not sure about that. His Majesty is not interested in hiring someone new. Then she thought, now that I've done Ronaldine a favor, I should get a few things done myself. Like this video. Hit the like button and subscribe for more videos.